This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And before I bring on my next guest, who is Dr. Doug Rokke, a good friend of the X-Zone, I'd like you to listen to this clip from CNN. This was earlier today.
Senator John McCain is joining us. Senator, I know we booked you to talk about the president's foreign policy speech at West Point, but I need to get your immediate reaction to the breaking news just coming into CNN. This from a report from the Inspector General of the Department of Veterans Affairs saying that an initial review of the Veterans Hospital in Phoenix, Arizona found multiple unofficial wait lists of veterans seeking care and identified, get this, 1,700 veterans who were seeking care but were not on any existing waiting list. The Inspector General's report says this: we recommend the Veterans Affairs Secretary take immediate action to review and provide appropriate health care to the 1,700 veterans we identified as not being on any existing wait list. I want to get your immediate reaction. This is pretty shocking information, Senator.
Well, it's terrible, too, and it obviously calls for immediate action, as the report requires. I think also, Wolf, it's probably about time for the Justice Department to get involved here. If records were falsified and people were denied care and people died, as was the allegation here of 40 people dying while on that mythical list, then these are criminal activities that deserve the Justice Department involvement. And finally, I really believe that General Shinseki should review in his own mind whether he can adequately serve the country carrying out the responsibilities given the things that have happened on his watch.
There you go. That's from CNN earlier today, X-Zone Nation. This story is just getting worse and worse and worse. And I know at times I've taken stabs at CNN and I've taken stabs at other media. But if it had not have been for CNN, this story would not have broke. So to CNN guys, I think it was Drew Griffith who broke the story at CNN. So guys, excellent job. My guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, is Dr. Doug Rokke. He is no stranger to the X-Zone. And Dr. Doug Rokke served over in the Gulf War. He was the number 2 man in charge of cleaning up the depleted uranium mess that was there. He knows only too well the story behind the story when it comes to the Veterans Administration. And what veterans, who, by the way, in case anybody has forgotten this, they volunteered. They were not drafted. They were not ordered. They volunteered to fight to protect freedom and democracy and the way of life that we so often just take for granted. As always, Doug, I want to thank you and the members of the armed forces for what you have done for keeping this country and Canada and all the freedom countries around the world safe and sound at a horrific price. And we're just hearing about the horrific price of the veterans who are not getting the care that they so rightfully deserve. So thanks again, Doug, and welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Rob. I'd like to dedicate this show to Private First Class Aaron Barnes, who served with the 101st Airborne out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He served 26 months in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was exposed to depleted uranium. He was denied medical care at the Galesburg, Illinois VA. He was denied medical care at the Iowa City, Iowa VA, and he died of cancer, abandoned by the Department of Veteran Affairs. But he's only one of many. On my own team, we had Sergeant First Class John Sitton of Springfield, Illinois, who also was exposed during Operation Desert Storm. And even though I personally requested his medical care, he was denied medical care at the Ileana Danville VA Medical Center, and he died of cancer. We also have Sergeant Major Jim Runge, also the same down in St. Louis VA, denied care, and he died of cancer. We have Lieutenant Colonel William Orrell, again, another guy. He moved all the contaminated equipment for me during Desert Storm, and he died after he was denied cancer down in Birmingham, Alabama, and he died of cancer, also being denied medical care there. And then we have Mr. Kiefer, we have Mad Dog Blue and Johnson and Peterson, and I just found out another member of my team who was in the picture, the famed picture of all of us holding up the Atlas of the destroyed Abrams tank. He drove the 88. I just found out he'd been denied medical care for 23 years, and when he found me a month and a half ago, he was already riddled with cancer, and he couldn't even get out of bed because of neuromuscular. So it just goes on and on and on. And the crazy thing about all of this, and this is what bothers me the most.
Doug, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we've got to take a commercial break. Stand by, Doug. Always great talking to you, my good friend. Exonation Dr. Doug Rokke is our special guest this hour. We're talking about the one hell of a mess that the Veterans Administration is in. Who's going to be the fall guy, the escape guy for this one? Whoever it is, you probably deserve it. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, Then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Exonation, Doug Rokke is our special guest this hour. It's Dr. Doug Rokke, it's Major Doug Rokke, it's Major Dr. Doug Rokke. To me, he's just Doug Rokke, one hell of a guy. And Doug, when you started listening to the news reports about what is finally coming to the top of the soup, the mess that the VA administration is in, the blatant neglect that these fine men and women who have given so much for their country are getting nothing back in return. You and I have talked about this so many times, Doug. Do you think finally now something positive is going to happen?
I'm not sure that anything will, because there has to be a total philosophical change. There has to be a policy change. What we have talked about in the documentations out there, and all the stuff, we can go over that tonight, what the VA acknowledges for health effects, is the Department of Defense and the VA, and by the way, the Department of Defense is now at the failure of their hospitals. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the Army hospital there has been shut down. All the guys have been fired. That hit the news about 2.5 hours ago. So it's both within the whole Department of Defense, the Army, and the VA. There's been a complete, total decision to disregard the health and environmental effects of military operations, whether it be here in the United States or in Canada, whether it be out in Newfoundland or whether it be over the other way in New Brunswick out there. And so it's all there and across the United States. Right here in Chanute Air Force Base in Rantoul, Illinois, it's an environmental catastrophe. And what's happened for years is everybody has disregarded the health and environmental effects. Back right as I came back from Desert Storm, the military was in total violation of NEPA. I was specifically asked with another guy to figure out how to solve it, and we wrote the protocols. We ended up writing a technical manual on how to protect the environment, and it's been disregarded. And that, so the U.S. is in total violation of NEPA, as is Canada. But what you have is, no matter who's in the leadership, unless they have a policy change and start handing the documents out and admitting the truth, nothing's going to change, because there is no money. That's the main thing. There is no money. That's what the original order said. We're not going to fund it, because if we fund it, we have to admit it, and that means all the military, all of their family members, all of the coalition military, all of the enemy military, because you got to provide care under Geneva Convention, and then it means all the non-combatants and civilians that live around all the military bases that have been trashed and left trashed.
So basically, nobody wants to accept responsibility for all this.
Well, that was a decision that was made during Operation Desert Storm.
But has there been any reversal of the decision over the many years in the different commanders-in-chief after Desert Storm? Like, somebody's got to take responsibility, Doug. You just can't go on and have these different countries, the combatants, the citizens, just being neglected because of money, for goodness sake.
Well, it's a high thing. How do they tell the American public we went into war over these nations not for freedoms, because there hadn't been any country posed any threat to suspend either freedoms in the United States or Canada at all, other than England? I mean, that's it. That's the only nation that's had the military capability or invaded our nations to even have an attempt to suspend our freedoms. So that's the reality of. So all this stuff has been resource control, power and greed, and everything else. That's what the reality is of it. When we got the orders to invade Afghanistan, that came from a February 12, 1998 congressional discussion to overthrow the Taliban so they could put the Unicol pipeline in. That's what Syria is about right now. That's what Liberia is about. That's what Nigeria is about. That's the reason we're going into the ex-Soviet things in the Ukraine. That's why we went to Vietnam. I mean, this is the hard reality of it. And so what has happened, the weapons we use and the destruction we wrought on a nation destroying the infrastructure and release this incredible chemical